That was weird. Welcome to the Unfinished Work Show. I am Mike Lake in the building, episode 9. Remember to breathe. Now, earlier in the day, I was actually at work, and I was sitting quietly with my thoughts, just trying to figure out like which way I wanted to take this week's particular episode. First, let me say thank everybody for joining us. Thanks for everybody that's playing it back. All the reviews, the comments, the messages, and feedback has been, to put it short, it's amazing to hear that this is resonating with some of y'all. That y'all find value in some of the topics that we're discussing. Excuse me. And feel free at any time to reach out to me if you know me personally, or hit me here in the comments, or just send me a message. I am Mike Lake on everything, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And we over here at the Unfinished Work Show, just trying to build and just work towards making ourselves better, self-improvement. It can be a cliche topic at times. There's tons of people covering it, but for each individual person, your journey is yours, and the things that you go through are specific to you. And hopefully, and I say you, but me, myself too, and hopefully we can come together and discuss something positive, something you may not have thought of, something that might have already been covered, that you might see from a new light, hearing it from a new voice, such as myself. But like I said, just hearing some of the feedback has been pretty cool. I'm still going on 75 hard myself. That's the challenge I put on myself on top of a bunch of other things. I believe I'm on day 38, I want to say. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track of the days. Just trying to stay focused and make sure I get my workouts in every day, drinking my water, and still just struggling with the schedule balance thing, finding myself in a lot of last minute situations, trying to chug water because maybe I was busy that day at work and I didn't have time to really lock in and do what I need to do. But the one thing I've been doing pretty good on is getting the workouts in. And I hit my homie Don up today. We were chatting, and this is the benefit of having community, just having people around you that support and can give you a word of advice, or let's just say a verbal kick in the butt when you feel drained or whatever. I definitely was feeling it this morning. I've been working a crazy amount of hours last week and this week, just driving down to Fort Myers and up to Deltona, north of Orlando, just putting a lot of time in on the road and a lot of time at work, which is going to look good on my check, but it don't look good on my energy stores sometime. And today was just one of those days where I really wasn't feeling it. And I brought it up to him, and he basically, he pumped me up a little bit, and then he talked crap as he likes to do, and motivated your boy. So I was able to actually even knock out one of my workouts just on the strength of that conversation that we had. So whoever in your community, lean on them when you need them. Oftentimes my girl or a homie like Don or whoever he just called to talk about whatever, something about work. And then we had that exchange. And after we hung up, I was like, okay, I'm feeling it. Just feeling good. So anyway, I took that quick little detour. This episode is Remember to Breathe. And I wanted to talk about the idea or the art of the pregnant pause. If you never heard that term before, a pregnant pause it's an intentional pause on the part of a speaker where they basically are creating a moment of anticipation in the listener to bring something profound on the back end. And even just taking that moment for yourself gives you a moment for your brain and your body to do a couple things to align you to deliver whatever message you're trying to deliver. But we'll get more into that later. So I actually intentionally took a breath there. Oh, but what I was saying, the inspiration for this episode, I actually was, I said a quick prayer to myself just to try to clear my head, get grounded, get centered. This was after that workout, and came out of that moment and something pulled on me to text my girl. But basically the message I received said something to the effect of text her, tell her to breathe, and that it was going to be okay. Something to that effect. I didn't know what was going on. Brother, she could have been sitting there twiddling her thumbs for all I knew. But after I shared that with her, she did share back with me that she was feeling a little bit of hesitation about an upcoming meeting. And you just never know what the things you think and feel and the messages and the vibrations and when the spirit talking to you, who might need that message. And I just followed suit and passed it on to her. I don't know how much it helped, but hopefully a calming word from me is something that helped her. But we're going to be doing some breathing on here, and I'm not going to take us through no yoga guided exercises or nothing, but I am going to occasionally take a second to breathe myself so I don't just ramble through this particular topic. It wouldn't make sense to do an episode talking about taking a moment to gather yourself and just blast through it myself. This is something I try to practice too, which can be helpful in any situation. I stream drop for a sec. I'm going to give it a pause. I think we back now. You can't really practice the art of the pregnant pause if you really ain't bringing nothing profound on the back end. So that does require a level of like articulation and thought processing and the ability to like actively listen and reply to the person. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if somebody shared, hey man, I'm having a tough week and I'm really feeling energy drained. And then you reply back, yeah, I had a good week last week. It doesn't matter how long you pause. That's just awkward and stupid. So pay attention. And let's get into it. So this is going to be one of those episodes, or not episodes. This is one of those topics where we go through our daily lives just breathing. It's just a thing we do, the way our brains are designed. We just do it until someone brings it up. And then it reminds you to do that thing that you've been automatically doing. So like if you were just chilling and I was just like, hey, don't forget to breathe. You're like, now you got to consciously do it because I brought it up. I'm going to keep doing that. Not to mess with y'all, but it's just something that happens naturally. Like, in fact, every time I look at the word breathe, it makes me think to do it. So even if you take that second to quietly curse me out in your head for keeping to remind you to breathe, it's like that yawn thing. When someone yawns, you have that sympathetic response and you yawn too. It's like bringing it into your consciousness just makes you want to. But there's some good reasons to do that. Just remember to breathe in. If you're ever feeling stressed or if you're ever feeling like there's high energy or something's going on, you take a quick little second to breathe. Nothing too long. You ain't talk about holding your breath and swimming or nothing, but just taking a moment to gather yourself could help in a bunch of different situations. Now, in the art of the pregnant pause, the way I learned about it actually came from a sales job that I had. And in that sales job, they basically were teaching us the art of going through whatever presentation you're doing, passing them the information, addressing any concerns that come up along the way during the conversation, and then you give them the ask. And if any of y'all ever done sales, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You give them the ask, whatever it is, whatever buy-in, so I can sign you up for this timeshare or whatever. I never sold timeshares, but whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do, you give them the ask, and then you just sit quiet and you let them respond. Most times people will respond because, as we all know, nowadays we rush to just respond to things. A lot of times you'll find people, oftentimes you find people just automatically have their shields up. They don't want to buy anything. They don't want to get got. If you're selling a car, even though they came there to buy a car, looks like my stream dropped again. And it's called Ego, Authority, Failure. And a hostage negotiator wrote this book. Super dope book. If it sounds interesting to you, read it. But talked about leadership principles and how to execute those using some of the things he learned as a hostage negotiator. But one of the things that he was talking about was this was exactly this point. He was talking about actively listening, processing what was said, and then repeating back and doing different tactics, which I'm not going to take you through every single step. But ultimately, his point on the pause was to ensure that you receive the proper information and that you're addressing the proper tactic. And then when you give them the ask, understand that if you ask them a question a certain way, if you ask most people, do they want to do something, and they have to say yes to it, they're going to be hesitant. They're going to resist saying yes. So one of the tips he gave was to ask questions that form a no. Give people the power to choose to do the thing by answering it in the no. Now, I know that could be a bit confusing, but I'll give you an example. If I asked you, hey, can you help me move tomorrow? You might say no, but my goal would be in that question format to get you to say yes. That's automatically going to put you on edge. You're going to be thinking, do I want to do this? Most people don't want to help people move. I'm most people. But if I formed it in a way like, hey, is there anything that you're doing tomorrow that would prevent you from helping me move tomorrow? That gives you the opportunity to say no, which in this scenario is an affirmative because you've at least had the chance to protect your no and to agree to something by saying no. So they talked about this in leadership, as a manager, in hostage negotiation, in churches or whatever. And it can work for you in sales, and it also can work for you in just everyday conversations. It requires a little bit more reading and understanding. I'm by no means the author of that book. I just read it once or twice. Actually, I read it once and went back through it another time. But just understand the gist is this. When you ask a question that requires someone to say yes, they're going to be more hesitant because our brains are designed to not agree. It's a safety mechanism. So in a sales format, if you can, try to think of a way to get them to drop any walls. Like, is there any reason you wouldn't want to buy this product? Then they say no, they're basically agreeing that there's nothing holding them back from buying that product. But the way you do that is by giving them the ask and then pausing, giving them the space to answer the question. So they're either going to directly respond to your question or they're going to provide you with an objection, otherwise known as an excuse as to why not. Oh, I got to talk to my wife and her husband. Oh, it costs too much, or whatever answer they give. Take both, either the direct, the no, which is the agreement, or the objection as positive. And if you've ever done sales, an objection is something you can work with. What you're taking advantage of is the ability for people to want to rush to respond, and they might provide you with some additional context for you to be able to overcome that objection. Now, this episode is about breathing and taking a pause and not about sales tactics and hostage negotiation. But I utilize those 2 points to give you the opportunity in whatever situation you're in to not rush through the conversation yourself. Because if you're trying to persuade, let's say you're trying to bag a girl, rushing through ain't gonna make her feel warm and fuzzy about communicating with you, even if you have game. In fact, if you have game, most people will tell you, I may or may not have had game at a point. Most people will tell you that it is about listening, asking the right questions, receiving the information, and feeling the energy that's happening between y'all so you can maneuver through the conversation in a proper way, not say anything awkward that puts them off and makes them want to object to you. So just keep this in mind. When you give them the ask, pause, take a breath, let them answer. They'll say something, they'll talk for however long. Make it awkward. Continue pausing. Make it, this is what the pregnant pause is. Appear to be thinking like you're about to add additional information, and they may continue talking. And in that second go around is probably the time that you're going to get the information you need to overcome that objection and get the confirmation or whatever it is you're looking for. Now, that's specific to sales, but it can apply to anything. It can apply to